This is BSS Sports.
Fires to the end zone. It's caught! It's Greg Lewis! Touchdown!
Brooks with one, lets it fly at the horn. It's gone!
Here's Crosby with a burst of speed up the middle, gets open and scores!
A grand slam for A-Rod.
Pure genius from David Beckham.
And it's in! Thierry Henry with a bullet!
Touchdown! With Thomas Brooks, Steve Schill, and Trevor Struthers. Only on 91X.
Good afternoon. It's another episode of BSS Sports, and we have a new NBA champion here with Thomas Brooks and Trevor Struthers. My name is Steven Schill, and Thomas, LeBron is back at it again with lifting the NBA trophy. Is this great for his legacy? Good for the NBA?
I think it's awesome for his legacy, especially because he promised to bring the NBA championship back to Cleveland. It's the first championship in all professional sports that Cleveland has won in like 45 years or something crazy like that. So LeBron has definitely cemented his feet in legendary status, if you will.
Now, Trevor, there was a lot of talk about, LeBron, how he wasn't able to do it by himself when he was originally in Cleveland, but now he goes back to Cleveland where he has more of a supporting cast, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and you can throw Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith into that mix. Does it mean really anything different because he's back there with a bigger supporting cast, or is it just as impressive as, now when he was with the Heat?
You're never going to be able to win a league championship by yourself. The way LeBron James, he was dominant this entire series. He had 41 points in Game 5, 41 points in Game 6, and a triple-double last night to clinch it. It's a performance where it's like going into these playoffs and into the finals, you had LeBron probably top 5 in your mind of like all-time basketball players. I feel like he's maybe jumped a couple of steps in a lot of people's mind in terms of best basketball players. The series he had was unreal. Like, if you just think about, he was the all-around best player, and the way he outperformed Steph Curry had a bad game in Game 7. It's crazy just looking at the numbers.
I hate Curry. The dish, not the player. Thomas, do you actually think that I was not a fan of Stephen Curry?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be like, whoa, settle down. Now look at what the guy's done this year. He just had one bad game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they came out later today and said, Curry was injured, and that's why he only, had 17 points. But don't be a Curry hater.
Well, they're going to be pulling out the Manny Pacquiao with this one. But is it Stephen Curry or is it Stephen Curry, Trevor? Because you're the expert on names here.
I call him Steph, and I think that's what I hear all the time. Just Steph Curry is what I go with.
Yeah, it's Steph Curry. Yeah, Stephen. You know what's crazy about Steph Curry is that I feel like he's almost too perfect to be legit. The guy's got to be an alien. He's, way too perfect of a person. He's got, the perfect wife and the perfect kid. And, I feel like something's going to come out and the guy's going to...
Thomas, stop.
I'm just jealous of
talking
Steve.
About Steph Curry in that kind of way.
Man crush Monday.
It's not appreciated. All right, so, Trevor, with the NBA Finals, a lot of people thought the Golden State Warriors were going to repeat. What did Golden State do wrong with this series?
I don't know if they did much wrong with this series. The last couple of games definitely got away from them. It is kind of funny, though. I'm just going to bring this up, how we went all series without a close game until Game 7. And we see 20 lead changes, and I think the biggest lead, Cleveland, or maybe it was Golden State, had an 8-point lead, and that was the biggest lead we saw all game. But I don't know really what went wrong. I can tell you for sure Game 7, Steph Curry, 17 points isn't going to cut it. 2 assists. He had 4 turnovers, which I think was the second highest in the game behind LeBron James, but LeBron did pretty much everything else right in Game 7. He walked a fine line, and I was expecting maybe a 35, 40-point performance from Steph at home in Game 7, and he disappointed with 17.
Do you think that the Game 5 suspension of Draymond Green had anything to do with the final outcome of the series? Because, it's Draymond Green, and he was out for the one game and then ended up losing that, but, in the long run. And, he didn't have Bogut either. Those are two pretty big names.
It may have. I definitely thought Golden State was going to be able to wrap it up, and then, that suspension hurts. Draymond Green is a key piece of that defense. The funny thing is, too, he's probably obviously the freshest player for the Warriors because he did miss that game. He ends up with 32 points in the game, which is pretty solid. Led the team, and that's probably something that I couldn't have predicted. But of all people, Draymond Green kept them in that game, gave them a chance to win. But, that suspension, the one-game suspension, although it was just one game, that was a game they had a chance to close it out at home, apart from Game 7, and they couldn't get it done there. But I do think this Game 7 loss is the ultimate thing, where it's like you had one game at home to win and you couldn't do it, even though this is the best home court in the NBA over the last 2 years.
Thomas, we going through this season earlier, LeBron was talking, or at least the media was portraying LeBron about possibly switching teams at the end of this season if things didn't go in his way, for lack of a better term. And, well, they went his way. They won the championship. Do you think there's any chance that he might want out of Cleveland?
I would be really shocked if he decided to leave Cleveland, just because it's his home state, its home city that he's located in, and he's done so much for the city and the state as a whole. He brought the championship to it. I feel like he should end his career where he started it, in Cleveland, and I think that's what he'll do.
Trevor, I heard you give a little smirk there. You got something to say on it?
Well, I mean, it's just like, you could make the argument for LeBron to retire now. Of course, he's not going to. The dude is still like the peak of his game with the performance that he gave these last 7 games. But, it's a storybook ending right now if he were to retire. And yeah, he's going to remain in Cleveland. I mean, this is a team that obviously just won the championship. They were in the finals last year. Maybe last year goes differently if they're a healthier team. So, I mean, they have a well-structured core there. And, I mean, I know we're talking a lot about LeBron James, but Kyrie Irving also stepped up big in this series and is a huge contributor as to why they won the championship.
So, NBA champion, Cleveland Cavaliers. I gotta say, I don't feel the love for the Cavaliers. Probably just because I don't like LeBron James a whole lot, but that is a discussion.
Steve, you must show a little bit of love to Cleveland. I mean, this is not counting their Calder Cup last week, all right? Not counting the Calder Cup in the AHL last week. This is their first championship in like 51 years.
Bravo. This one's for you, Browns fans. This one's for you. All right, now speaking of a team, or more or less a player that, generally had a good vibe and good kind of reputation with fans and teams alike, as in a singular team, the Detroit Red Wings. Pavel Datsyuk decides, along with his family, as he posted on social media, that he's going to go back to the KHL. Trevor, is this an Ilya Kovalchuk 2.0?
I think it's different in ways. Obviously, Datsyuk's towards the end of his career, and I think this is literally just, I want to, obviously, like, Russia's his homeland, obviously, that's where he's from, and, it gives him a chance to go home, be around family, be around, friends before he came over here. It's the opportunity to go out in a league that, I don't know if he's really ever had the chance to play in, apart from the lockout, and, I'm kind of interested. I don't know what, kids in Russia grow up wanting to be. I don't know if they, because they're around the KHL. I don't know what the coverage for the NHL is like over there. If they if they grow up dreaming to be in the NHL or the KHL, I mean, obviously that has to cross your mind a little bit. He wants a chance to finish up in his homeland, so to speak. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's one and done in the KHL this year. And he picked, I think, a pretty strong team over there to be a part of.
So, Trevor, with Datsyuk retiring, do you think this is kind of like an NHL legend, per se? Because, I mean, he's been an awfully skilled player, and, stats are pretty great, but I feel like he hasn't gotten the highlights or spotlights outside of the Detroit, Michigan area.
Well, I mean, he's known around the league as the Magic Man for a reason. I mean, he's arguably got the best hands of his generation in the NHL.
Of all time.
I'm going to say of his generation. And his defensive play as well. I mean, he won, 2-3 Selkies? He was a great all-around player, and then, the hands that he had were unreal. So, if I were to give an opinion on, if it was more kind of a Michigan guy, if he was more liked around Michigan or the entire league, he was definitely well-known around the entire league for being a special player with his defensive ability and his hands.
I think, a special player for sure, but I don't think, I don't know, I just don't feel that the magnitude of his hockey skills were kind of as appreciated as other people, per se, like Crosby or something. He didn't seem like he was going to sell tickets, per se, even though he's a very big part of the Red Wings organization.
He had Zetterberg next to him for, obviously, a good chunk of his run in the NHL, and obviously, I mean, that was a nice duo, and the duo was probably what sold a lot of the tickets. But, I mean, Datsyuk, you could make the argument, was probably a top 10 forward for a good chunk of his time in the NHL. And maybe at times you can make the argument a top 5 forward, and that's saying a lot. The hands that he has, and once again, his defensive ability, It's such an underrated thing. I feel now. I feel like it is now. But the ability to play so well two-way is something that gets harder and harder to find as the days go on.
So we're coming down to crunch time here on BSS Sports, but we want to talk about the Blue Jays. Thomas, I gotta ask, are you a fan of R.A. Dickey?
You know what? I'm not too much of a baseball expert. What I know about R.A. Dickey is that he's an older guy. He's been on the Blue Jays now for a bit, and he throws knuckleballs. Can I say I dislike him? No. Can I say I know a lot about him and I like him? No. He's just kind of a guy for me.
Well, Trevor, I feel like when he came to the Blue Jays, he won the Cy Young Award like the year before. If I'm misinformed, please inform me. But, ever since then, the only really good season he's had, at least statistically, seems to be last year. And it's just wishy-washy with that, but what's your thoughts on R.A. Dickey?
Well, R.A. Dickey is obviously a guy that came in with a lot of expectations coming off of that Cy Young Award. He was doing talk shows left, right, and center. And the thing, too, about R.A. Dickey, he's such an engaging person to talk to. Probably talk Star Wars or Game of Thrones with him while having a beer for a long time. So he's an engaging person, an interesting personality, and yeah, a lot of expectations coming off of a Cy Young Award. I believe the first knuckleballer to win a Cy Young, so that's kind of unprecedented. Another thing as well is here in Toronto, we're not, here in Canada, we're not used to a knuckleballer going through the daily struggles of having a knuckleballer. Part of that is having a personal catcher, Josh Tolley, that, has caught R.A. Dickey for years, including that Cy Young year. Even then, he struggles with the pass balls. You hear people complain about the pass balls all the time. It's hard to hit the knuckleball when the knuckleball's knuckling. Try to catch the thing. You're pretty much in the same spot as the hitter. A little bit of a better view because you're kind of looking directly at the ball instead of kind of down at it. But it's a tough thing to do. And yeah, R.A. Dickey, he gets knocked for his win-loss record a lot, which is it's kind of meaningless almost now because you can't win games, you can't get wins if your team doesn't score runs for you. And they didn't score runs for him this weekend in his start. He ends up getting the loss, but overall it was a solid outing. It wasn't bad. It also wasn't great. 2 earned runs. He ended up giving up 3, but 2 earned because of a pass ball. And was able to get somewhat deep in the game. He outlasted his opposing starting pitcher in the game. I think he went 6 innings. This is a guy that has had to deal with run support of going into that start this season. It was at 2.9 runs of support they've been scoring for him, so just under 3 runs. And they pretty much did that in that game. They scored 2 runs for him. That's not going to cut it. At that point, you have to perform like an ace. And he's not going to do that, but he's also not as bad as people think. He's very, run-of-the-mill, third, fourth, maybe even fifth starter when he goes through the struggles. But this is a guy that has also been very consistent for them. I'm trying to wrap this up as quickly as I can. Marcus Stroman is a young guy in the rotation that is you don't know with him. He's struggled a lot recently. Aaron Sanchez won't finish the season in the rotation. You have 2 young guys there that you can't really trust that much. Drew Hutchison, another sort of young guy in the minors that's probably going to take over for Hutchison. And with R.A. Dickey, he guarantees you 200 innings, which you can't really say that for any other guy in the rotation can get those 200 innings for sure. Maybe Jay Happ.
And on a side note, the Blue Jays offense is going incredible, and R.A. Dickey writes a good book. If you ever want to pick up his book, he wrote one. So next week on BSS Sports, we're going to be talking about the NHL Draft for Stephen Schill, Trevor Struthers, and Thomas Brooks. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at BSS Sports. But we will see you next week.